Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, West Coast. Good afternoon, East Coast. You got the restaurant technology guys. Thanks for joining our webinar today. I'm Gary Stotko, and I've got Ryan Williams sitting beside me here today. Hi, Ryan.
Hello, Gary. Good morning, everyone.
Today's webinar, what's new with POSitouch? We're super excited here today. We've got Win Platt. He's the COO at Restaurant Data Concepts, the manufacturer of POSitouch. Welcome, Win.
Good morning, Gary. Good morning, Ryan. Thank you very much for having us join you today.
Glad to have you. Great guest today. We're going to talk about what's going on over at POSitouch, and as we start the brand new year here in 2015, on top of everybody's mind is mobility. What's going to happen with mobility? Where is it going? What are we doing currently? Advanced reporting, some really neat stuff that POSitouch has got loaded for us in POS Portal. We'll talk about that. Actionable data. You know, Restaurant Data Concepts, POSitouch, we've always been able to offer the industry a product that integrates smoothly and easily with a number of best of breeds. And then lastly, and the hottest topic that's going on right now and has been for months now, as we head into, what, October 15th, 2015 is the date, EMV. So we'll get some good feedback on Win and what they think of what's going on. In the background, we see, I'd said to Win before we started the call, our little homage to Rhode Island. Beautiful weather, although currently that's not what it looks like in Rhode Island, right, Win?
That is true. As I was sharing with the two of you earlier, as I look out my window, I see a snowbank about 8 feet tall right now. So I wish it looked like the background of this slide.
Oh, man. So let's jump in. Mobile opportunities within POSitouch. As we were talking earlier, when you've got hardware that you're working with and have been working with, you've got software as far as integrations and how everybody plays well together in the sandbox, and then the benefits of mobility, and then you can give us the kind of a brief preview on where you see mobility going in the industry and anything you want to share with POSitouch. So where are you guys at with your hardware and the like with mobility?
Sure. Thanks, Gary. You know, POSitouch's approach to mobility, especially as related to both the hardware and then the various operating systems as a choice with that, is much akin to what we've done for years with our fixed position touchscreens, in that we embrace the open architecture. We try to support all the major manufacturers, both from a hardware perspective. Operating system is a little bit of a topic unto itself, which I'll explain in a second. And we do that with the mindset that, you know, no two customers are alike. Everyone has their predispositions to, you know, what makes sense in their particular space. Some of the larger brands within the mobile tablet, mobile handheld types of products that we've used to date. HP, with their Elite Pad line, we've had a major rollout going on with one of our direct clients, Blooming Brands, where we've installed close to 1,500 Elite Pads within one of their brands alone. DT Research and the WebDT product lines, we've had some really good success with as well. Again, another one of our direct clients in the quick service space very actively uses that product, and I'll talk about how they use that in a minute. Some of the other products that we've done some work with, Dell in their new Venue 8 has a nice sweet spot with that product from the size and form factor and the price performance based upon that. And then all of those products, as I mentioned, are all Windows-based products. Primarily, we're still a Microsoft or a Windows-based platform, and when we get into the mobile space, it becomes even more important when you bring in topics that are near and dear to all of us, like PCI. Our PCI auditors continue to tell us that consumer-grade operating systems will not be certified from a PCI statement. So that being said, you know, it gives you rise to consider whether doing a native iOS application and or doing an Android application, you know, makes a lot of sense. Saying that, however, we actually do and did create a native Android application and now support the Nexus product lines. Tend to be the most popular within that platform. The only thing with that platform, though, because of the PCI requirement, we have not released any kind of MSR or card swiping type of technology associated with that. So what we're finding, though, is those that have a preference for that Google platform, they're using it without an MSR, and they're using it as an order taker or as a management type of terminal, but not doing any card processing through those terminals. So, you know, it opens up a lot of different choices within the spectrum of those various platforms. The big thing that we find along those lines, though, is it is a huge spectrum, ranging from consumer-grade products that are in the couple $100 range on up into commercial-grade products that are, you know, in the mid-thousands dollars range. And it is very much you get what you pay for and matching what you want to how you're going to use it within that spectrum. I think we chatted earlier, Gary, that, you know, there still does seem to be a little bit of a missing spot in that kind of business class, something that's a little bit more rugged than the consumer-grade products, where if you drop them in our environments, they're likely to break, and due to that, you're going to throw them out and buy a new one, and then that certainly is an approach for some, on up to those that are, you know, more commercial grade, which are very, very rugged, but carry a price point that's not always the most attractive. So to date, the product that we've found that fits the space, that the HP Elite Pad has done a nice job in kind of that mixture of some ruggedization, if you will, along with you know, an attractive price point. So, you know, there's still definitely a lot of changes going on when we talk about mobile tablets and how people are starting to use those. You know, as we move into how they're using them, software options, tying in with third parties, as you know, and those that have been with us for quite some time, one of our core tenets of RDC and our product POSitouch has been accessibility and extendability with third parties and working with, you know, other industry specialists. And our view is that, you know, it's hard to be all things to all people, and even though we're a huge development shop in our own right, to go off into all the various tangents and try to bring quality in each of these specialty areas doesn't always make the most sense or bring the most value to our clients, and therefore we try to find a good balance of what's core and native to POSitouch that we develop under our own brand and our own flag, and then what we partner with in the sense of bringing you know, real strong solutions so that our clients get kind of a best of breed and a total solution. And when we look at those, you know, especially in the mobile space, you know, loyalty comes to mind. The whole mobile payment is certainly an area that's exploding with a lot of changes going on with, you know, lots of different third-party companies that are bringing, you know, mobile payment solutions to the field. So there's definitely a lot of changes. It's one of those areas that if you blink, you know, it changes every few minutes.
Yeah.
We're definitely doing a lot in the mobile space.
Anything you're able to share with us that you guys are working on behind the scenes as far as to deal with where mobile's going?
Well, you know, we continue to look at, you know, the whole notion, if we look at the next generation of consumers, if you will, they're much more attuned to everything cell phone based. Still trying to find whether, you know, a bring your own device type of an approach is going to work, and if the form factor on, you know, the typical cell phones, smartphones is the right form factor, but keeping a close eye on that. We're also balancing that, though, with good feedback that we're getting from our clients related to table-side tablets and whether or not that really will have a long-term play. In some early studies, it looked like that could have a longer-term play, and in some cases, some of the feedback is, you know, guests will use that type of technology platform a few times in the sense of the novelty, but for the most part, depending upon, you know, where a restaurateur is in their market service, you know, guests go out for a reason. They want to be waited on. They want to be catered to, and that's really the role of the server, to do that. So still kind of keeping an eye on that advent and whether that type of technology will be mainstream to the point where we would want to create our own native application to run in that environment or not. Certainly a lot of growth in terms of table-side service, where restaurateurs are empowering their service staff with these tablets, with the being mobile, both for taking orders at tableside, and then as you move into the payment side of things, anything that really increases speed of service, provides their guests with a better experience. When they're done with a meal, we all know when we go out to eat, the last thing you want to do is sit and wait for your check to be able to get out the door. So anything that shortens that cycle, gives the guest more control over that part of the process in particular, we find of great value to the restaurateur.
Good. Good. I forgot to mention earlier, in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you folks are welcome to shoot in your questions. We will have a Q&A session at the end here, but it looks like Ryan got a question for Win already here.
Yeah, speaking of the platforms, Win, can we, they're asking about iPads and seeing POSitouch on an iPad. What's the deal there?
Sure, great question, and it's one we probably get on a weekly basis. Ironically, we are rethinking our position related to iOS, and there is a possibility that just as we created a native application to run in an Android environment, we are strongly considering doing one for iOS. The primary reasons we haven't to date go back to that PCI statement, in the sense that the card swipe itself in both Android and in iOS, according to our PCI auditors, will not be something that can be certified. But that said, especially with one of the topics we're going to get to later, which is surrounding payments, we're seeing more and more that are okay with having an ordering-only device. And even though you've got the Dell products that are down in the same price points, and you've got the Nexus products that are in the same price points, there's no doubt that Apple is still, kind of holds that sex appeal that, there are people that are very much in an Apple camp and really only want an iPad, iPod, one of those types of platforms. So we are actually literally going back through some analysis now and some consideration of actually finally, breaking down, so to speak, and creating a native solution that will run in an iOS environment.
Nice. Good. And reporting and accessibility. This is a neat product, so I'll give you a chance, Win, to talk about with POS Portal. Give us a high-level view of what it delivers to our consumers, and then boy, those management benefits and how you guys deal with some of the regulatory challenges that we'll all see coming through the hospitality industry.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Gary. This is actually something very, very exciting to us for a number of factors. One is the actual application we created itself, but as a broader statement before I get into what POS Portal is, it's really our first commercial release of moving to the cloud. So as a platform and as a company statement and direction, we certainly see the value of what the cloud can offer, to our clients, to us as solution providers, and back here at RDC as we create these solutions. And so we had started a number of years ago and worked on an inventory type of package that was more of an enterprise basis that was going to be all cloud-based. And that's kind of morphed into what we've now called POS Portal. And POS Portal itself is really a cloud framework for us. And the first parts of that we've released are around reporting and around exceptions, so that those that sign up for this service will have the ability to get real-time data posted out to mobile cell phones and or desktops from a reporting perspective. So you can, whether you're a single unit, multi-unit, you will have real-time actionable data at your fingertips no matter where you are. And we've purposely kept this to be a different animal, if you will, than what a data warehouse would look like. Data warehouse to us, whether fed real-time or end-of-day type of approach, is much more about analytics. It really gives you the opportunity, if you're using the right kind of data warehouse, to go in and run all kinds of reports and slice data apart and pull it all apart, but it tends to be after the fact, and it gives you an opportunity to manage, and it's still very valuable. But every one of those solutions, is a lot to it, and typically they will carry a price point to them that's befitting what those types of solutions are. What we saw and that feedback from a lot of our clients was they really just wanted something that they could have at their fingertips and know on a real-time basis what was going on if they didn't happen to be in their store. And so what we created was, POS Portal is the framework to this, and then the reporting module within that, where, as I said, literally I can, bring up my own instance of my store and get all kinds of real-time data. And along the point of that is the price point. POS Portal is meant to be a very affordable, it's a subscription type of solution. So you pay for it on a monthly basis and use it. Very easy to install in your system. It's basically an agent that gets put at your store, and then you get instantiated into our cloud for your own private instance within POSitouch. So we're very excited about the reporting capability and the feedback that we've gotten from that product. And it's in wide use, so this is something that's been out in the field for a number of months already, and we've had very, very good adoption rate with that. One of the other key elements of the initial releases of POS Portal is the exception reporting. People will somewhat refer to this as the Obamacare report with all the changes that have gone on into the labor, and the importance in our industry because of the types of employees that a lot of our clients have, the numbers of hours they work, and its impact to whether health care gets offered or not offered. We created an entire labor tracking capability within that so that you would be able to get alerts when employees reach various thresholds, and you have the ability to set up, I believe it's 5 or 6 thresholds within POSitouch, and then have those kicked out, and those can have escalation points to them where it starts out as an alert, there might be a text, and it could move on into emails. So it's, it can be some very proactive management types of alerts that you get. And it's not just about labor. There are certainly other key elements that you set up within POSitouch, and those would kick out the alerts to the recipient. And within that framework, you get the ability to have your staff members in there and various escalation points, and it's the typical parameter-based, whatever you allow your employee to see or not see is all that they're going to appear, where the owner may end up seeing, seeing everything from that. So if anyone on the call has not seen or heard much of POS Portal, you definitely want to reach out to your dealer or to us, and we will get you information on it. But it's a very exciting platform. And the thing I like about it, I liken it to my gym membership. My gym membership is something that's on a monthly basis. It's relatively inexpensive, and that's really the approach to it. We want the masses within POSitouch to use this product, and we really didn't want price to be an obstacle to them. So I think when you get not only the demo of what POS Portal is, and then you get the quotes from your resellers, you'll find that this is a very affordable and a very powerful tool as well. The thing about POS Portal itself is this is our first foray in the sense of the reporting and exceptions. We have longer-term plans to bring other aspects out to this type of platform as well, including labor, the potential to get into some scheduling types of capabilities, to be able to tie in and continue to expand our clients' ability to utilize their POSitouch system, not just within the store, but also above the store. So that the whole POS Portal cloud framework is something that's very, very exciting to us.
Us too. It's a dynamite product. It's got graphic appeal. It delivers on the actionable data that you referred to, and with what you said as far as the exception reporting, it's paramount in this day and age that this is what you guys have delivered. It's great. We've got a couple questions that have come in here. Ryan's got one, and I've got one. You know what? When one of the things that we hear is security in the cloud. You've got two camps generally from what we've seen. You've got the people that are traditionalists, and they're like, oh my God, the cloud is not secure enough. And then you've got the other camp that says, you know what, I understand the capabilities of firewalls and securing information. How do you guys answer as far as securing that data up in the cloud?
Well, today we've been using the Amazon cloud, so in terms of security, we feel after doing a lot of research that they provide us with a platform that is secure. It's one of the reasons that we didn't want to host it ourselves. We wanted to use a large, well-recognized, well-secured, and a scalable type of environment.
Excellent, excellent. Then we've got actionable data. I know that we had talked about third-party partnerships dealing with best of breed. You've got the real-time analytics that you said that POSI Portals laid the foundation to grow off of. I guess on this one, what's RDC and POSitouch talking about when you realize all of the data that you hold within POSitouch and how someone like me that wants to market that information or integrate to Paytronix or any third-party player, making that data more actionable?
Yeah, it's a great area to jump off on, Gary. One of the things that we actually are doing right now is we are in the midst of rebuilding our whole API layer to make it much more current and supportive of future technologies. As many know us, we are known in the industry for being the most open and kind of partner-friendly, if you will, in working with third parties. But that said, as that space continues to explode, we do find a time where a number of third parties that are all going after the underlying core data within POSitouch, if it's not done in kind of the right way, they can create problems for themselves. And even though they're not technically POSitouch issues, nonetheless, anything that impacts our user to be able to use the system, ends up either at our doorstep or our dealer's doorstep and trying to support the customer. So in reviewing that layer, we felt that there were some things that we could change, and so we're very excited about bringing a whole new advent to how third parties will be able to interact with our product. Today we support, and because we've been doing this for so long, we support a whole host of various output and input mechanisms, for that matter, that range from real-time to end of day. So, having third parties get data into POSitouch and out of POSitouch on up to a real-time basis is all there, and people do it, consistently right now, especially when you look at some of our loyalty partners who have the ability to take a transaction in the middle of the transaction, take that order, run it through their loyalty schemes, and then feed back to us, any kind of impact to that current transaction. When you think about that happening and all the timing and the benefit to the guest, there's some pretty complex things that are going on. So, we certainly are coming at this from a position of strength, but we just feel like there's some things that we can do better to kind of support future growth in that area. Things that are going on, certainly, again, back to that kind of mobile statement, we get third-party mobile companies that are focusing on the payment side of things, probably one a week, that approaches us, in terms of wanting to be able to tie into our platform and be able to offer their solutions out to our clients from that perspective. Loyalty continues to grow. I mean, loyalty's been around. It's not a new topic, but what it does and how people embrace it and how they use it, as you said, the actionable data related to their customer set for restaurateurs to understand their customers better and better is certainly a critical path for them in being successful in marketing to their better customers as well as to their occasional customers that they want to turn into better customers. So there's definitely a lot that's going on in that particular space too.
Nice. And lastly, as if it wasn't enough, EMV. We've got a looming deadline. We know that there's multiple players within this space just to accomplish pulling this off. So if you could give us the perspective from the POS side, how you're going to tackle it, and what you guys have dealt with in dealing with Canada being on it for a number of years now. And then lastly, an opinion. I'm curious as to your guys' thoughts on EMV and what the public knows versus what the industry experts feel.
Sure. This is a great topic because I think it's one that creates a lot of confusion and a lot of misunderstanding, and it's not intentional. EMV, certainly, let me back up. Anything that adds another layer of security to our cardholder data, to what our restaurant operators are providing to their clients, I think everybody would say is a good thing. No one will say that there's enough security and there's too much security. We all want to be as secure as possible, but EMV I think is one that's created some confusion because it's not what everybody thinks it is. I'll start the comment on EMV. POSitouch is EMV certified and EMV capable. We've been doing it, as you said, in Canada for well over a year. So this really is not, a POSitouch initiative in the sense that there's much, if anything, for us to do at all. The issues really come back to the fact that Canada was able to implement this nationwide much easier than the U.S. because Canada is controlled by 5 banking institutions, and so therefore their card processing is much more unified across those various platforms. And those of us in the U.S. know that our card processing is like the Wild West. There's just a lot of different players, a lot of different choices, and so while people are trying to move to EMV, it's our understanding that certifications are backlogged by years, not months, not weeks, but years in terms of getting wide appeal certifications. So those that are available today are far more limited to the processor, the particular hardware platform, and then back to the middleware, and then onto a version of a product like ours. So it's no longer, or it is not as yet, the case where you can say, I want to process with company A. I feel like using a piece of hardware from company B, and by the way, I don't want to upgrade my software. I want to run with what I want. That's not the way it's going to work. Those that want to be earlier adopters of EMV are going to have to accept the very stringent kit, if you will, that goes from stem to stern in the sense of offering EMV. We hear rumblings that the October 15th date is real. We hear rumblings that there's no way they can enforce it. So I'm not really of a position to offer an opinion as to whether or not they will hold to that October 15th date. But what we can tell you, though, is people need to understand what the October 15th date means. What it really means is if they go forward and push that date forward, they're going to move the liability shift mostly related to chargebacks. And so if you have an EMV-enabled physical card and you don't process it as an EMV type of swipe, and that particular transaction gets challenged by the end user, you in the past would have had the ability to fight that chargeback. Going forward, under those scenarios, you will lose that ability for that chargeback. So what we've actually seen some of our clients do, and rightfully so, mind you, is they look at their broader picture of what their chargeback percentages are. They look at that number, and then they make the business decision and says, my chargebacks are so small today that the cost of implementing all this new hardware for EMV and all the other infrastructure changes I have to make for EMV, they don't come close to picking up what that chargeback number would be. So some of the business cases or the fear of these penalties, so to speak, is mitigated from a practical perspective when they look at what their chargeback situation is. The confusing part about EMV is, unfortunately, some people have mixed EMV up with what people refer to as point-to-point or end-to-end encryption. So the phrase P2P or E2E, that really is the most secure way in terms of security and what you're offering for cardholder protection. And some people have misunderstood that they think that's what EMV is. EMV is not encryption. EMV is not point-to-point. So those of our clients that are really going after this related to a security perspective, we really are taking those clients, and we've had a number of our larger chains already move to this platform where they are going more to a point-to-point encryption. And again, even in that world, because it's relatively new, it's not as if you can choose a la carte types of solutions. It's still very much a kit approach where you have to choose the particular processor with the encryption mode that processor offers, supported by a particular hardware platform. So it is very much a kit, but those that are really in tune and wanting to move in the direction of security, are far more focused on the point-to-point or end-to-end type of encryption as opposed to worrying about EMV. And if you really want the holy grail, if you're going down the point-to-point approach, finding a device that is EMV enabled or EMV capable certainly makes a lot of sense, so that if at some point you want to add the EMV component to it, you wouldn't have to throw away your hardware investment in these external devices. You would either be able to enable it or swap out a module to add to that hardware. So there's definitely a lot going on the payment side of things. A lot, it's clear as mud in some respects, and the sense that people are trying to do there.
No, absolutely. It's on that last part that you touched on, when with current hardware and the ability to take another piece and plug it into your hardware and run that transaction, again, is not POSitouch software. It's the manufacturer of the hardware device.
Absolutely. And the other point about P2P and E2E types of solutions, and it's more germane for some versus, I mean, not that PCI is important for everybody, but depending upon the type of client you are, you can have the ability to de-scope your POS by moving to those solutions. So some of the external PCI factors that are very expensive for chain operators, we've seen some move to that approach just for the mere fact of trying to de-scope their POSitouch solution altogether. So there can be a lot of advantages to moving to an encrypted type of an approach.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as we head into, I know we're cognizant of our time. We're bumping right up against 30 minutes, so we left some time for Q&A. We'll come into that slide, but before we go to the Q&A section, huge thank you from Custom Business Solutions. We've been a partner with POSitouch and RDC for over 15 years. Phenomenal relationship with Wynn, Peter, and the Fuller family. And we're proud to represent them as a brand and a product. Our relationship continues to grow, and we say thank you, Wynn.
No, that's both ways. I mean, you guys have been, our #1 reseller and partner for many, many years, even to the point where we created a separate category of recognition because you won it so many years in a row. So, the thank you it's mutual. I mean, we have a great partnership. Excellent.
So, folks, as we get into the Q&A session, I know that we answered a number of questions as we went through the process, so we might have nailed them all down. But just to recap real quickly, we talked about mobility and the evaluation of the Dell Venue, HP Elite, and the Nexus products, and where at this point in time POSitouch stands behind with the HP Elite. Talked about iPad as an iOS platform and the architecture or the thinking around the architecture of a native client for POSI. We also talked about POS Portal. I know you guys are going to be excited to see that product in action. Don't hesitate to reach out to any of us with concern to that. And then Actionable Data and EMV. So looks like we've got a question. Ryan, you got that?
So yeah, I want to thank everyone for their great questions that have been coming across throughout the presentation. One of the questions is regarding EMV's use in Canada, or the adoption in Canada. Do all the restaurants use it, or are some just taking the ding on the chargeback?
That's difficult for us to answer, only from the sense that we don't really have direct visibility to those that implemented or didn't implement it, because it's really more of a platform support from our perspective. I would say that any of our larger chains and multi-unit operators in Canada are likely all using that. I really don't know that it's 100% adoption. I'm sure, like anything, there are those that just take the ding in the sense that the ding comes back to what their chargeback is. It's not like some massive penalty or some flat fee penalty. It's just really the liability shift of a restaurateur's ability to challenge a chargeback. So I do think that's a very real notion that people need to give some consideration to when they look at their own business decision.
No, and you brought up with that liability shift, if an operator evaluates their chargeback percentages right now, versus the cost to institute new hardware and any adjustments that come across with that offering that ability, it's a simple math equation.
Correct.
To me, so nice. Anything else there, Ryan?
The only other thing was the pay at the table. What kind of options, if a restaurant sure wanted to implement POSI system and pay at the table right now, what kind of options would they be looking at?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that I was remiss in not touching on. We are literally finishing up what we're going to call POSI Guest Pay, so that those that have a tablet or want to add tablets to their solution, because POSitouch does everything natively, you'll be able to utilize that same tablet as both an ordering device for your server to be able to use, but you'll be able to flip it into a guest pay mode where you'd be able to leave that with your guest, and they would be able to swipe their own cards, split checks, email receipts to themselves. So we are actually very excited to get that, and we feel we're probably about 45 days away from releasing that. So that's going to be something that will be a POSitouch offering, and we think will have a lot of appeal and a lot of interest because, again, it's a POSitouch application. Great question.
Absolutely. God, that's dynamite. Cool. Looks like that wraps it up for our questions. Thank you to everybody that's participated here today. A big thank you to Win Platt, our COO from POSitouch. Thank you, Win.
Thank you all. Hopefully you found this informative, and if there's anything we can offer, please let us know.
Excellent. We've got all our contact information up on the screen right now, along with Win's and his email address and phone number. I'll leave it there for just another moment so you guys can mark that down real quick. And as we sign off here today, thank you, Ryan. This was a great presentation. We look forward to doing more of these with Win this year. What's coming up for restaurant technology, guys, in CBS? We've got PCI 3.0, what you need to know now. It's coming up on March 3rd. Please visit our blog and connect with us on Twitter and Facebook. And lastly, look out for our new podcast. We've got a couple in the can right now with our topics written up and our subject matter prepared. We'll get a couple out there, but we're excited to see how you guys engage with our podcasts. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Win.
Well, thanks, everyone.